Hi, Viola. I'm super excited to ask this question. Last week, a beautiful friend from the Netherlands, she sent me two quotes that she created from one of the segments that she listened. And there were very simple quotes, and I shared it on Viola's group. And then I would like to read it. Just 1 second. To be more specific, with my question. Just 1 second, please. And the quote says, "All is always well, all is always available to you, and all is loving you." And of course, it resonated very much with me and with my knowing. But then another beautiful friend posted a question or reflection, and she said, "It is so, yet I struggle with seeing the all is well part when I see suffering. What is this magic and how do I know it?" So I took my time to align because I thought it's a brilliant question. And the reason was because I actually couldn't download a clear answer, because it seems to me that I'm so sure and I know so much that all is well at all times that I kind of like couldn't even explain it, why it was almost like, well, it is. And I did, elaborate something and I answered, but I would like your reflection on that topic, and specifically on that quote and the question that a friend was asking.
We will start in a place of where were you when reading this kind of segment, and where is this other person when reading this other segment. In other words, we often hear variety of vibrations and frequency interacting in a certain way, and while it's easy to recognize when someone is on a certain frequency of that which you call positive emotion or negative emotion and those matching up, sometimes there is this matchup that doesn't really resonate with some. Is how can I be in this place of and in this state of high vibing, positive energy, positive emotions, and then someone having something on an opposite end, and those still coming through. And we often say that because some are steady, the other ones are looking to get to that steady, and the ones that are steady are most of the time. Once you really feel so steady, you are ready to open up the door and look for a little bit of trouble that includes some people that might be a little bit excessively focused. And that's the next thing that we want to talk to you about. You have resonated with this, and you did not even look for the ways to explain this because you were absorbing this, or you were in a place of as unfocused as you might get to receive the feeling of knowing about what was said. You can really refer back to it. All is always well with you. All is always loving you. In other words, all is always available to you. Those are very steady words. Those are very steady words, so much so that you do not even know how to explain them because they're true to the core of your being. When you're in a balance between your own question-answer dance, and you can take your attention from something in a focus and get into the place of more steady focus on focus dance, where you can see it from that wider perspective. And then there is a friend that you mentioned that might have been more in a focused place at that time. In other words, observing this and observing this or observing this. Regardless of that being observing the suffering or some unpleasantries, or being observing some kind of ecstatic movement of the energy. In other words, or pure positive feeling of that ecstasy and a lot of energy and thrill and enthusiasm, whatever positive emotion you can come with. In other words, when you're so focused, when you're so in a place of directing your attention, you're inevitably making preferences. And therefore, while you're making preferences, you cannot resonate with something that is preferencesless, if that is the word. Something that does not have the preference. Your unfocused time, your balanced time between unfocused and unfocused is what we started referring to being, has nothing to do with making preferences. You're making preferences in a place of when you are observing and when you're focused. When you are in that place of unfocused, there are no preferences, and you can be in that state of making minimal to no preferences while you're blended between dancing between your question and answer, because when you see the value of the question and the answer and the whole discovery process in between, when you see the value of being focused, so much so, but also being in a process of unfocusing enough time that the pillars of your steadiness are getting you to be so steady, then you are not really running into making preferences immediately. Then you are getting to that place that you describe as knowing, and not really that many words knowing to describe. So as you really well understand, there is nothing for you that you have to do in order for this other person to see that. But if there is any suggestion in these situations that you can make, is that at the moment of looking into some of these things that resonate for you in a place of knowing, and someone is seeing it from the place of that which is more focused, suggesting to look back into this once these people are a little bit more relaxed, once these people are a little bit more in a place of meditative state, not necessarily meditating, but meditative state, or something a little bit more cheerful, a little bit more easy. And if that is really the place that they're not getting as often, the conversation is really there. Not in what is the message, not in what the words are, but also saying that there is a possibility for you to move your attention from any kind of discomfort, including suffering, into the place of steadiness, because that which you're observing as something that has any kind of discomfort is so much so potent in focus that in order for you to see it from a different perspective, you want to get yourself to that different perspective. And that is by using any tool that will get you to that place, any tool that would kind of in a way soften up the sharp, razor sharp focus that you might have in that time. There is nothing wrong with sharp focus. There is nothing wrong with observing that which is your reality and making preferences and choosing from that variety of things that are there. But there is really nothing more satisfying than when you find a balance with that which makes most of your time, with occasional softening into that which is explored and experienced and called by many as divine, God, everything that exists, wider perspective, broader perspective, zoomed out perspective, blurrier perspective, that where you can really pull back for a moment. And in the process of pulling up, you're discovering that there are different angles to see things, especially if you want, as we're sure this person wants to change that which is observed and seen not only by her but by so many. The only way to change what's happening is to change the perspective, and the only way to change the perspective is to be on the lookout and have the opportunities that come to you be used as tools for you to move in a different perspective, to see things from this angle and this angle and this angle, regardless of how wide or narrow it is. So movement between variety of things that are catching the attention, and then this can give the focus, and this can give the focus, and this can give the focus, the variety of them giving variety of feelings. And the moment that the movement is there between the things that are causing suffering and the things that are causing less suffering and the things that are causing no suffering, the movement is happening, and therefore the tools start showing up. And once the tools for steadiness start showing up, they're always there, but showing up in terms of resonating with this person for this moment, then the movement towards that wider perspective will start happening, and they will be able to see or to feel or to experience the naturalness, the natural experience of that knowing that you've already had and just did not pay attention for some time.